Hello, Tungsten Miner here. This episode I wanted to focus on this elevator, and I'm going to spend a bunch of time going through making the parts and figuring out all the pieces. And actually, I've never used one of these in a game before, so I'll have to be doing a little bit of discovery myself. But before I get into that, I wanted to briefly look at this new entryway to the house. And this is probably something I'm going to do a bit more of as I figure out where the roads and approaches and things are going to go. But I figured I'd start with some of these retaining walls using some quartzite that I found and make a little bit of a lawn here. These are marble pillars through chisel using one of the patterns. These are just plain marble blocks using the chisel marble rather than the Underground Biomes Constructs marble. These are decorative flower pots from the Garden Stuff mod, which have a recipe like this, where you just take some nether quartz, craft it into a block, and then craft them into this pattern, and that gets you your flower pot. And the flower pot itself, I just took a rose bush. I'll break this one all together. So you put your pot down, you take a block of dirt and just toss it in there, and then plant whatever plant or flower you like in there, and it'll grow usually in a slightly smaller size than the regular plant. But pretty much anything that would grow on dirt can be placed in there. Looks like it's getting dark, so I'm just going to take a quick nap here. And then I've extended this lawn just a little ways. I haven't decided where it's going to go or what it's going to do, so I just let it trail off and follow the terrain. Same thing up here. But the general idea is that I'm going to have the road work its way down the hill here and then start coming across and then try to follow the beach more or less until I get around here and then throw a bridge across and have that come up to meet the road here. And then that can give me a road back to my house, give me a road to the village and my friends' houses and all that. And that way I'm kind of connected back to the rest of the world by an easy route. So in case I get knocked back to the spawn point or something, or back to my other house, I can easily get back here. However, in the meantime, I've added a little bit to my setup over here using the RF Tools teleporter. So this is a matter transmitter. So this is the matter receiver, and they kind of get used in pairs so that you can go back and forth between two places. The matter transmitter, matter receiver, is got ender pearls on the bottom and iron on the top with a machine frame and some redstone. And the transmitter is basically the same recipe upside down. So a little bit of symmetry there. And then this guy is a simple dialer, which is this recipe, lots of redstone torches, and things with a machine base, which is just stone and gold nuggets. And what this thing does is it works a lot like your portable teleporter. So this guy, the charge porter, where you walk up to some kind of receiver and you shift right click, and then you walk up to a transmitter and shift right click, and then plop it down next to your transmitter and give it a redstone signal, and it will power on and dial the transmitter to talk to whatever you want it to. And that way you can now have a transmitter without all of the bulky setup of the real dialer and all the different pieces, and this will just work. So I can just walk through this beam and wind up back over at my other house, and then I've got that one permanently dialed back to this receiver, not permanently, but at least for now. And that way I can walk back and forth between here and my regular house, which is like almost a kilometer off in that direction, instantaneously. And as, of course, I'm doing a lot of building and whatnot, that's a really, really big convenience. But the thing that I really want to talk about in this episode, and in fact discover and figure out for myself, is how to populate this elevator shaft with a PneumaticCraft elevator. So I'm going to go back to my other house in my crafting room and start getting some of the pieces together and figuring things out. Okay, back in my industrial room, I've started doing my initial research on what it's going to take to make this elevator, and I figured out that I need these elevator base blocks, these elevator frames, and this elevator collar. And looking at my in-game wiki, let's see, elevator, here we go. Here's the documentation that comes with PneumaticCraft. It's by the in-game wiki mod. And it looks like you put your elevator bases on the bottom, you make your frames up as high as you want your elevator to go, and you use your elevator collars to summon the elevator. I'm not going to get into a lot of detail now. The thing that's actually important for me to know at this moment is how many of all of these things do I actually need to make my elevator. So my space is 3 by 3, which means each layer of whatever it is going to need 9. Depending upon how expensive it is to make this thing, I might scale that back a little bit, maybe make it a 2 by 2 elevator, but we'll see when I get going. But I need 4 times the amount of elevator bases for whatever height I want to get to, and 1 times the amount of elevator frames. Or, in other words, every elevator base you have allows your elevator to rise 4 meters. And each meter that you rise, you have to have a frame present in order to accommodate the elevator. So this is really just the base of the elevator. It's not the it's not like there's a cabin or anything. So you don't need to go all the way to the top of your elevator shaft, just to the highest floor of your elevator. So let's assume I'm going to make a 2 by 2 elevator for now. What I would need is 4 elevator bases, because I went back to my building and counted. I've got to rise 13 meters, which means I need more than 12. So the next one is 16, which means I need to make this recipe 4 times, which means I need 2 of these gray plastic sheets times 4, or 8 of them altogether for this recipe. So let's talk about plastic. Where does plastic come from? Well, you start out by using this thermionic processing plant, and you put LPG gas in here, and that is one of the things that you get extracted from your refinery. In fact, it's that top chamber there, and I've got a full reinforced portable tank full of it now, which is why this pipe is backed up with it. So as soon as I take some out of here, I'll get some space again. So you pump that stuff in here by whatever means. I'll probably just take the tank and drop it on top and open it up with a wrench. And then you put some coal in here, and it looks like I'm out of coal, so give me a second, I'll go grab some coal. Okay, now I've got some coal, toss it in there. And this machine, when it's heated above a certain temperature, so remember we talked about heating the refinery, and that's why I've placed it right next to the refinery on the same hot pad. So once it's heated to sufficient amount, it's going to start producing liquid plastic. Of course, we've got a pressure requirement, so in the back here I've got a pressure tube which gets to be connected to the rest of my pressure machines. I'll talk about generating pressure a little while later when I'm setting up the elevator, because that will also require pressure. But suffice to say, it requires 4 things: your LPG, your coal, your temperature, and sufficient pressure. And it's going ahead and producing liquid plastic now, starting to fill up its tank. I've also got it connected using thermodynamics pipes and a servo to pump out the fluid, and you do have to pump it out, it won't come out on its own, into a plastic mixer. The plastic mixer then has to have a certain coolness to its temperature, so it can't be above a certain temperature, which is why I've got it separated by stone blocks and a pipe so that it's not near the processing plant, which has to be hot. And then you can tell it what items you want to make. So temperature is sufficiently low, everything's good, my tank is full. You need different dyes to produce different color plastic. And then you make the plastic by just choosing which color plastic you want to make. And you've got all the different 16 regular Minecraft colors. So the thing I'm trying to produce is this elevator base. I've already made the gray plastic that I need, but this pneumatic cylinder also requires some plastic. So there's 6 plastic sheets required for each tube, and I need 2 for a recipe, or 12 for each 12 blue plastic sheets for each recipe. And I know I need to do the recipe 4 times, so 4 times 12 is 48 blue plastic sheets. I've got some blue dye in here. I don't know if I've got enough to make all of those plastic sheets, but I'm going to start. And I just click, 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 and it's going to go ahead and make me a blue plastic sheet each time I click, provided there are enough ingredients to do that. And you can see the plastic starts getting used up as I click. And so I have to wait a bit for things to catch up. And it looks like it doesn't use a full piece of lapis for each time I click this. It has a little tiny reservoir of each of the colors off to the side, which get replenished from these items. So I can probably get up to 48 without too much trouble if I let my plastic making machine catch up here. Uh-oh. Looks like my pump has gone dry because I've run out of coal. Now, I happen to know I've also run out of coal in my storeroom, so I have no more coal at all, which is a problem. So I need to go get some more coal. It turns out I've got my Alamite pickaxe with me, which does not have silk touch, and it also turns out I have something of a coal mine nearby. In actual fact, it's not really coal. In this mod pack, I made it so that coal is a little harder to come by, and generally can only be found in swamps. Instead, this mod has lignite, which is a kind of stone that is generated by the Underground Biomes Construct mod, and one block of lignite turns into one little lignite piece. And if you craft 9 lignite pieces together, you can get yourself a block of coal, or a piece of coal. So here I've got 14 pieces of lignite. Craft them together, I get 1 block of coal. So what I need to do, you can also use it as a fuel directly, but it doesn't give you nearly so much burning power. I don't see where it's telling me the burning power, but it's, as you might expect, 1/9 of what coal is. So I'm going to spend a little while here in my coal mine and dig up a bunch of lignites that I can carry on with my plastic making. Okay, so I've got a bunch more lignite, and I'm going to take this back and make coal out of it and stuff it into my plastic machine so that I can carry on making the rest of that blue plastic that I need. And I will be back with you shortly. Okay, here I am refueling the coal part of my operation here, getting some more plastic. That hopefully will start filling up this basin, and I can make the last 7 pieces of blue plastic that I need. And 1 more. Okay, I'm going to let this carry on and go do its thing. The next thing I need to turn to is to make some of these elevator frames. Now, if I'm doing a 2x2 elevator and I want it to go 13 meters tall, I need 4 times 13, which is, I think, 52 total. But in actual fact, I only need to make 13 of these because I get 4 in each recipe. So 13 times 6, it's getting a little bit hard to do in one's head, is 78. So I need 78, right. 78 bits of compressed iron. So I've got 7 to start with, and it looks like I'm going to need to make myself some more. Compressed iron uses this machine here to take regular iron and turn it into compressed iron. So I'm going to go get a bunch of iron and be right back. Okay, back again. I'm not going to talk about how to make one of these things. There are actually a bunch of good videos about how to do that. Maybe I'll do one later. Suffice to say, though, how to use it. I've got 2 of these pressure chamber interfaces, which are basically like little airlocks, and you can kind of see how they work. That one over there on the far side is closed, so it's accepting inputs now, and it's in input mode. This one over here is in output mode, so it's accepting things that are in the chamber now and will allow them to come out again over here. So what I'm going to do to make compressed iron is just take some regular iron, dump it in there, and it's going to get fed from the hopper. Oh, looks like I didn't have to wait very long. So now, oh, why did that happen? as you can tell, I am still trying to figure some of this PneumaticCraft stuff out. I think the problem is that I didn't have a filter here. So I want to say only allow, that's what it is, only allow compressed iron ingots out. So I'm going to try this again. Okay, finally, enough pressure to inject the iron. Not sure how much pressure is needed to convert the iron, so we'll just kind of have to keep an eye on things here. There it goes. So iron ingot by iron ingot, it's getting converted into compressed iron. And since I set the filter on the output panel to just take compressed iron, it's going to take out only those things which have converted so far. And it looks like the rest of them have converted. And so now my compressed iron ingots, a whole stack of them, come popping out. And I can work on making my shafts. Now, I said I needed 13 times this recipe. So, toss those in there. And take one away so I can just grab all of them. Right. And now I've got that. Great. So the next bit is going to be making these pneumatic cylinders, which I need more compressed iron for. So 2 per cylinder, and I need 2 per recipe, which is 4 times, I decided I needed 4 of these, so 4 times 4 is 16. So it means I need 32 compressed iron, and I don't have that much. So I'm going to go make some more, and I'll be back in a bit. Here I am back up in my crafting room, and on one of these tables, there it is, I've got everything set up to make myself my pneumatic cylinders. Now, last time I said I was going to have to go make some more compressed iron ingots. I needed a lot more than I thought. This cannon barrel here requires a whole bunch of iron ingots, and the safety tube module requires a pressure gauge, which needs even more, and some pressure tube, which needs even more. So it actually took me a lot longer to get all the compressed iron together than I needed. But now I've got my pneumatic cylinders. So I can take these guys, and now I've got my elevator base, which means I've got my elevator frames, I've got my elevator collars. I'm going to need to get myself a couple of buttons, I think, to be able to call the elevator collars. But other than that, I think I've got everything I need, except pressure. So I went and borrowed the flux compressor from my industrial room, which produces up to 20 bars of pressure. I'm not sure how much pressure the elevator base can take. Different PneumaticCraft devices can have a maximum amount of pressure given to them, and if you give them too much, they explode. So you kind of got to watch it. So I'm going to have to check this thing out and see how much it can deal with, and I might need to come up with a way to limit the amount of pressure it actually produces. Apart from that, though, I think I've got everything I need, because I do have some power over at the other house. Of course, not the power I'm ultimately going to want, but I do have that windmill, so I'll be able to route some power down here just to see how things work. So I'm going to go grab some pressure tubes and a few other things and head over to the new house. But before I head over there, I'm going to close off this video. It's getting on the longer side, and there's a lot of work to do left to get the elevator installed, so I'm going to make that the next video. If you enjoy what you're seeing, go ahead and hit that like button. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe button, and I will talk to you later.